Okay, well, hello and welcome to the HRO Today live stream, 12 rewards and recognition gotchas for an RFP. Today's program will be presented by Judd Weisgal, Senior Director of Sales for Madison Recognition. My name is Steve Ferrace, and I'm Director of Membership Services for the HRO Today Association. Our live streams, along with HR Table Talks, are our monthly professional development opportunities held exclusively for members and on occasion guests, which we have a person or two here today of the association. Led by industry thought leaders, lecturers, and members, our live streams offer timely content and valuable insights that members can use. And we aim to have these sessions to be very interactive. As such, I encourage you to turn on your camera and microphone and make the most of the next 30 to 45 minutes. Feel free to ask questions at any time through the chat or unmute and pose a question at any time. And again, interject when you feel like you have a question about something, and Judd's going to be able to answer those for you. So before we get started, I just have a couple of things I want to highlight about association events coming up here. And the first is another upcoming professional development opportunity that you might be interested in. On November 14th at 11 a.m. Eastern, we're going to welcome Andrew Nash of Talent Rise as he facilitates a discussion on the importance of using a data-driven approach to talent optimization. Again, remember, table talks are more group discussion driven as opposed to presentation driven. So it really is a great opportunity to talk about the issues, and Andrew will have questions on hand to pose to those that are in attendance. So again, if you want to have a great discussion on the importance of using a data-driven approach to talent optimization, you're going to be in the right place on November 14th for that. So hopefully registration is now open for that. So, sign up soon. And we do keep those numbers low to, again, facilitate a more, kind of intimate discussion. Also, as I'm sure many of you are aware, our awards nominations are out. And I didn't update this slide, but we have extended the deadline to October 16th for award nominations to be submitted. And again, this is, of course, our annual program that recognizes leadership, collaboration, innovation, and hard work within very many different facets of human resources. And you can see all the number of categories that we have as awards that are going to be presented, including number of company team and awards as well as individual awards. And the other thing to note is that we do name winners for our North America, EMEA, and APAC regions. So again, if you are operating in North America, you can have the opportunity to win an award there. For any of these categories, same with EMEA and APAC. So again, it has been extended to October 16th. That would be the final extension because we will be, of course, announcing winners at our December 1st association conference and awards program. And there's some more information on that upcoming program. We're going to be naming the winners for our North America and EMEA regions at this event. And again, this is December 1st, 11 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. Eastern. It is virtual via Zoom. And we're going to have 3 informative sessions all around the topic planning for tomorrow, the future of work. And and again, in addition to those informative sessions, we'll be presenting the awards for the North America and EMEA regions throughout. And of course, we can't do any of these programs without the great support of our sponsors, including Everhive, Page Outsourcing, 7-Step, and of course, today's presenter, Madison. So again, we certainly thank all of our sponsors for their efforts. And you can actually view our sponsors giving their predictions about where they see work going in the next 2 or 3 years. And Judd actually has already provided a video for that, and it's posted on our page. So, definitely check that out. And so with that said, it's time to get moving on to today's program. So I will stop sharing my screen and encourage you one last time to turn on your video camera and so we can see your faces, do any exercises so you can put in some questions for the chat. And really, again, make this an opportunity to really, ask some questions of Judd as we go through the program. We certainly encourage you to do that. So at this time, let me hand the program over to Judd for his presentation. Judd, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. And I'm waiting for you to share. I'm sure that's coming up right now. There we are. Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be across the nation, around the world. My name is Judd Weisgal. I'm the SVP here at Madison. I thank you so much for joining us. I wanted to talk today, and I'm going to jump right into things and skip some of the formalities. I wanted to start today by talking about buyer's remorse as it relates to HR leaders and even to everyone else within the organization when they partner with a company in my industry, and the reasons behind it and the things you can do to prevent having buyer's remorse. And if we roll through the next couple of slides, you'll see that it's that feeling of wishing that you had made a different choice, right? And feeling depressed or upset or angry or sad about the choice you made. And it didn't have to be that way. And so much of what we're going to talk about today is about how to avoid having buyer's remorse. We can go forward. But I want to share just a little bit about who we are, 30 seconds, so that there's an understanding of where I'm coming from in today's presentation, the experience that I'm bringing and the viewpoints that I have and why we're doing what we're doing and bringing this specific message to the marketplace. Madison as an organization has 40 plus years in this industry. We have over 5 million unique users on our platform across 160 countries. It's a vast experience of data and information and analytics and intelligentsia that we're bringing into this mix. And along with that, quite frankly, some of my experience and my opinions and the things I've noticed after being in this space now for 20 years. So with that, we'll roll forward. And what I want to encourage you all to do over the next 22 minutes is please do interject anytime that you have a question. If you're wondering, where I got the information or how I'm feeling about it, or you have a question about how to apply it to your own needs or programs, just jump right in. Okay, so this is a discussion. If it ends up being a full presentation, that's fine. But at the end of the day, I'm happy to answer any questions. There's just a quick link to the white paper, the thought paper that we have written about this. So should you want to note that link, you can certainly cut, paste, copy, and so on, and visit that paper later. But we're going to roll into things right now, moving forward.
And Judd, I'll include that link in the follow-up email I send as well.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so we can roll to our next slide. So I wanted to talk a little bit about how we got here, what was going on. Quite frankly, this entire paper was conceived under the notion that Madison and its entire being was getting frustrated that there wasn't enough information out there for folks to choose in what we feel is the right way their partner. One of the things we do when we go to market is we admit right up front that we may or may not be a good fit for you. That our goal in our initial conversations is not to talk you into working with Madison, but it's to counsel you and send you in whatever direction that may take you. Obviously, as an organizational leader in sales, I hope it leads you in our direction, and I hope we're a good fit. But if it's not, the goal shouldn't be to steer you towards us. It should be to steer you towards what's going to be best for your organization. And that is how we approach all partnerships. And with that came a lot of frustration because we oftentimes, either due to our high rankings in industry awards like the Baker's Dozen, or because of high employee client referrals, people come to us and want to work with us, and we're honored and we're humbled and we're grateful. But the truth of the matter is they're not always asking the right questions. And what happens is they end up with a program, a pathway towards a program where they're not asking the right things. They're not asking them specifically enough, or they're asking them in a way that they've been counseled by some other organization to ask them, which sort of streamlines it into a path of making a choice that serves someone else, not you, not your organization, not your people. And so, I don't want to sound selfless. Like I said, we hope you want to partner with a company like us in the days that are, ahead in your options, but we're not a good fit for everyone. There's no perfect solution. There's just the perfect solution for you. There's no perfect vendor. So the first thing that we wanted to talk about, we think it's one of the most important, which is flexibility in billing. Now, you may or may not be aware of the difference. If you are, forgive me if it's pedestrian. If it's not pedestrian to you and it's more advanced, even better. But there's bill on issuance and there is bill on redemption. And at the end of the day, they're done typically by organizations in our space for very self-serving reasons, right? They either want to get the capital up front and use it, or they want to be willing to be flexible and wait to get that capital and bring on top line revenue to impress investors or anything else that's going to help them as a business. Nothing wrong with that. The challenge is when they only offer one. If they only offer one and it's not the one that best suits you, that can be a very big problem. And what many organizations don't ask is, what are the benefits of one versus the other? How do we figure out which one will serve us best? And the answer is we counsel you and we tell you what the benefits and features and values are of both, and we let you choose so that you're able to determine if one philosophy or the other will be best for you. Again, Madison approach, our ideology, we want to do what's best for you, and we're agnostic in this. Now, there are companies in our space that only do one. They will do either bill on issuance or bill on redemption. We, as a company, choose to do both. The reason we choose it is because it's, again, about flexibility. So just consider asking, any organization in your RFP process that you're approaching, which do you do? Do you offer both? And then once you do, how flexible are you? What are your payment terms? How do you bill? How do you break it out? What do you show? What are your, markups, things of that nature, because all of it should be transparent to the buyer. There is a long history in our industry, and I know I'm going to get hate mail from my industry about this, but there's a long history in our industry of veiled expenses and veiled costs, and it should all be transparent. Everything should be transparent. And so with that comes, how do you bill? What do you offer? What's your flexibility? Make sure you're asking all those questions. We'll roll forward. I'm going to move quickly through them. We have 12 and I have like 16, 17 minutes. So forgive me. But again, if you have questions, jump on in. Will I have a dedicated account manager? Here's what's really interesting. When you're buying from us or any of our like competitors in the marketplace, you are buying software as a service. When you're buying software as a service, it all starts to look very similar because the technology is the technology. Sure, we all have certain features and capabilities, but at the end of the day, it's cutting edge tech. We have a lot of great things. Here's where it gets interesting. We don't sell technology. We choose to believe that our industry is a service industry. It's about service for you as program owners, and it's about service to your employees, your valued partners as experiencers of the program. So we want always to educate about all the technology capabilities, but what we want to point out is that the single most important thing is that you will have a dedicated team or people who don't leave, who don't turn over, who aren't not there on Tuesday when you spoke to them on Monday, who understand your business and become an extension of it so that they are predicting and supporting and doing all the different things they need to be doing as an extension of you versus just order takers or can you fix this and so on and so forth. And what winds up happening is so many times people forget this is a service business. They see the flashy technology, they get wowed by it and they say, that's awesome. They buy it and then there's no one to really help them with it. Or there's a lot of turnover in an organization and different people have to consistently come on board, learn who you are, learn about your program. Meanwhile, you bought it, but there's no one there to support it in a consistent, meaningful way. Leads to a lot of frustration for buyers. We hear it time and time again. So we can go to our next slide. Thank you. So the third one, and this is what I was just speaking about, which is what is the turnover rate of the team? Ask this. Ask how long, ask who's going to be supporting me specifically. I want to meet the people that should we partner with you, I'm going to be working with every day. I want to meet them. I want to know how long they've worked for you. And I want to get a sense of, did they start 3 months ago and they're green, or did they start 3 years ago and they have a lot of experience, or they started 10, 15, 20 years ago and they've been doing nothing but working with companies like mine, my shape, my size, my vertical, and they really understand who we are. No one asks this. Almost no one asks this. I won't say definite, but almost no one asks this. What are the turnover? And anything less than an average tenure of 7 years should kind of raise red flags, because most people move jobs every 3 to 4 years. And so that 7-year mark really suggests people that are tenured at the company, that have a lot of experience. And I can tell you that in this industry, there is a lot of movement, but at companies where people are happy, people stay. Right? So just consider who you know and who you're going to be working with for the long run ahead. And what do you feel about their experience? And why have you not asked, can I meet them? Part of the sales, why are you only talking to the salespeople? Why are you only talking to the sales engineer? Ask who's going to support me day to day. And ask your salesperson, do you stay as part of the account? Do I have access to senior leadership? What roads to success in partnership do I have? Who can I talk to and when? How? All of these are really important and oftentimes go overlooked because you're buying kind of the sizzle reel, and then the movie starts and they realize, oh goodness, there's no real dedicated team. So we can go to our next one. I know I have to keep moving, Steve, so forgive me. But will they act as an extension of your team? So what do I mean when I say that? I said that a few slides before. It was like a spoiler alert. But what do I mean when I talk about an extension of your team, right? I'll give you some quick examples. Do you call your employees something unique like partners or citizens, right? Do you have core values and they infuse the language in the way you speak, right? Do you have a specific sort of lexicon of language that you use that needs to really be used so that we're speaking the same language, right? When we engage with you. Our organization, we take the approach that we need to become an extension of you. That means deep research, deep commitment, deep time, and really learning what it is that you're using as your language, your own unique brand internally, so that we can really become an extension. And when you speak to us, we feel like a colleague, not an outsourced thing. That's important. We're not the only ones who do it, but it's important. And what does that really mean, though? It means going even a step further as our colleague and not just our partner in as a vendor relationship, but as our partners. Do you have a voice? Can you ask your partner to create things? Can you say, hey, we'd really like this feature to be in the program and it doesn't exist today. Are you willing to build it? Can it be built? Does the technology support that? Do you have a voice in the strategy of your partner's business, of your colleague's business, so to speak? Do you have a voice in that? Can you ask them to build things? Can you ask them to design things and really create features that not only serve your organization, but all of the organizations that are part of their portfolio? And so with that, it's always really asking things. If they say, for example, well, today we don't integrate with XYZ. The question is, that's okay, but will you? Can you? When? And will we have input when other things come up in 3 years, when there's a new thing in the marketplace technologically, and we want to integrate it? Will you be willing to do that? Can I ask for it? What does that look like? So make sure they're flexible and that you have a voice, and that if they're going to say they're an extension of you and that they're part of you, that they're willing to work with you the same way any internal colleague would, and that they're willing to do whatever it is they can possibly do to really make your program work. We can go on to number 5. So I'm going to be very quick on this one, but it's really, really, really important and really, really simple. Just ask if they can share the uptime data, right? How often, how long, and for how long has your system ever been down and out? And when was it? And why? Why is that important? Very simple. If the system doesn't work, if it's not available, your phone's going to ring off the hook from your employees asking you, where is it? What's going on? It's important. Now, nothing is foolproof. Anyone can experience, an outage for any number of reasonable reasons. However, if there's a tendency for that platform to be down for a week here and a week there versus a minute here and a minute there, that might be an issue. It also leads to asking if their program, their software is theirs, or if they outsource it. And there's another big difference in the industry. Some organizations create their own technology, own it, operate it, function it. Sure, it rests on a third-party distribution system, but at the end of the day, it's theirs, and they can control it a lot better. So it's very important to ask, is it yours, or does someone else operate it and build it for us? But we can go on to number 6, because that one gets a little techy. So the integration question. We get a lot of requests integrate with your HRIS systems. It's almost a given when someone reaches out to a technology provider in the space like us. They'll say, can you integrate with and insert HRIS system here? The difference is the question needs to be asked like this: what can you integrate with today? And what can you integrate with easily, quickly, efficiently? Can you do our company charities? Can you host our company store? Can you connect to our payroll, right? And so on and so forth. And then here's a better question. If I'm using this HRIS system today and I get an organizational decision to move to a new one, what does that look like? How quickly does that turnover happen? Is that a problem? Is my system going to be down? Do you even work with that platform? Can you support it the same way you're supporting the platform that we currently have? These are the integration questions that really need some answering. And the last part of it is you want to see their roadmap. What does the future look like? And I'd like to see the next 3 years, since that's the typical term of the contract. I'd like to see the next 3 years of features you plan to have, because I'm going to be with you for 3 years and I can track that. And I can see what it's going to look like, and I can keep you accountable. And if you don't develop something or do something that you said, I can ask why. And maybe there's a reasonable reason, but maybe it's just something that you need to keep an eye on or continue to ask for. But keep this in mind. Big ones that we see are company stores, company charities. Can that be added, right? Can they be flexible enough to do that for you? We can go on to number 7. I'm just keeping an eye on time. We went to the end of the, there we go. Thanks, Steve. So change management and internal promotion. Very simple. Again, I'm only going to spend 30 seconds on this one, but ask your potential provider for stories, suggestions, documents, recommendations, best practices. How do we change from one provider to another? Specifically, and I want to underline this part, specifically if we're going from one type of provider to a different type of provider. What do I mean? We're going from traditional provider who provides gifts, gift catalogs, things of that nature, to a more tech-forward company that uses points. Or we're going from all cash to only some cash and points. We have a big cultural shift about to happen, right? How do you help us with that? How are you going to support us so that our people understand this is a good move and it's going to be great for them, versus just feeling as though we're taking something away? And so that is really, really important. You also have to think about this for the fact that you have this multi-generational workforce, and this multi-generational workforce, you're always going to have some portion of some generation that may not be happy with the change. How can we combat that? Future partner, what communication strategies have you seen work with your partners that they did, so that they didn't create a firestorm, they created a sense of excitement and happiness and joy? We can go to number 8. So what investments do I need? Oof. Okay, this one I could probably spend 30 minutes on all by myself, but your partner, your future partner, if they're being honest with you, they will tell you things that are very, very, very clear and very specific. How long does it take to launch a program? Who do I need on my end in terms of personnel to support this? How many hours a week will they be working on it during startup? How many hours a week can I expect to need them after startup? How many hours a week will I need as a program administrator? What kind of budget really works? Not the budget I gave you. Is that enough? Ask the question, is that enough? Let them be honest with you. No, I don't think X amount of dollars per person is going to do a really good program. Or I think that might be the right amount. Or maybe that's even overspending compared to a peer company or a benchmark company. But you want them to create the business plan for you, present it to you as best practices from their experience, and to say to you, this is the way you need to do it. This is who you need, this is how much time they need, and this is how much money you need to spend. This one really puts, it's one of my, if I have a chip on my shoulder, it's this. You can't back into a budget. I've said it on the podcast, the White Swan that we did for over the last few years. I said it in a million things. You can't tell a partner, we have a budget of X, but this is what we want to do. You should say to them, this is what we want to do. What budgets do you typically see supporting that? And they should be honest with you, even if you can't afford it, don't want to afford it, wouldn't get approval for the budget. Better that you know, and you don't waste money trying to achieve unachievable goals with a partner than to partner with them and see low activity in the program, or none of your goals are met, but you spent the whole budget. I am a big believer in, if you can't do it right, don't do it. If now's not the time, you have the right budget, better to do nothing at all than do it wrong and waste money and upset people and give too little. Nobody wants $5 for $100 worth of effort. Nobody deserves $100 for $5 worth of effort. So when you're looking at these programs, past years of service, but more to performance-based, make sure that they're willing to give you numbers on what they think is the right spend, and back that up with experience, with clients that they can tell you that did it, with some historical research, and that you really feel comfortable with that number. And then when you do, go fight for that budget, because I can tell you Madison in the past has told many organizations that just won't work. You know, you can't give $50 a year as a budget to people that make $50,000, $100,000, $150,000. You know, we work with all different size companies, but it has to be somewhere along the line, the right budget, or you won't get participation. Nobody who makes $50,000 a year is going to sign on to get a $5 award, you know, 5 times. We find that they just don't log in. So make sure it's funded properly, and make sure that the vendor is honest with you. They're not just saying, sure, we'll take your $50 and we're happy to see it spent. You'd rather have someone who says it's not going to be working that way. It won't get you the result you're looking for. Number 9, benchmarks. Again, I already spoke about it, and so we're going to move past this slide in a minute. But again, ask them what it is that you would need to be doing, and what are the companies, partners, clients do they have that they can share with you that have done it, so that it's not their opinion, but it's who's doing it, and how did they do it, and how do we benchmark, and this is what we're looking for. Again, there's a trend to all of these gotchas, which is be very specific in your requests and double, triple check where the data is coming from, right? Is it supplier supplied and it just supports their own, well-being, or did it come from a third party? Right? Did it come from a third party? I'm always a big fan of third party. It's great that Madison writes papers, but you shouldn't, after we give you the bright idea, you should trust but verify, is really what I'm saying, right? Trust your vendor, but verify, right? So when you're doing an RFP, when you're out there and you get data from a vendor, it's great. You should trust it, but ask, double check, triple check. Don't just accept that they have features and functions. Ask them to demo it. Then when they demo it, ask them who's using it in their client base. On and on and on and on and on. What benchmarks are they having? We see a lot of smoke and mirrors, and it can be a little overwhelming. Let's go on to number 10. And I know I'm just about at time, but I'll need 1, maybe 2 more minutes. Do you have an app, or do you take a web-based approach? So if I were to say to most folks when they're buying a system, is it important if there's an app? Initially, you sort of think, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But you need to ask yourself, 1, do my employees want to download another app for work, even though it's a benefit, right? They don't want to have extra apps on their phone just to use for this. The other thing is, it may sound great, but if people won't use it, it doesn't matter. And I will also say that there are challenges when you build an app and use an app, something along the lines of it really becomes further out of your control as the provider, meaning Madison's control, when we use an app, because now we're relying on the App Store and other companies that will host that, and so on and so forth. One of the ways in which that can be combated is with something called mobile responsive. If you have questions after this, feel free to email me or to ask, but I can explain the pros and cons to apps and why they may or may not be as effective as you've been led to believe. But there's a lot to ask about that when you go to RFP. I'm going to number 11. We'll wrap up after that. So In-country fulfillment, real simple. You don't want an organizational partner if you're a global country that's shipping from the US out. It costs a fortune, there's loss, there's damage, there's extreme shipping costs. If you're using a technology provider, that doesn't mean they're not shipping from another country. You want to make sure if you're a global organization that you are asking, do you fulfill in country, and even more so where appropriate, in region? An example being India, right? It's not just about being in India, it's about being in different regions so that you're not shipping across border and paying 10 and 15% taxes for doing cross-border shipping. So very important, because this can add extreme cost that you didn't consider before you selected the vendor. So do you do in-country fulfillment? And then where possible, do you do in region fulfillment of whatever it is, the gifts, the physical gift cards, I don't care what they're sending. Where is it coming from? And how is that going to impact my costs if you don't have in-country fulfillment? It's going to cost you a lot of money. And on the last one, by the way, the 1 point from the previous slide, because I'm rushing now, but the 1 point from the previous slide is also to ask about how do you remedy things when they go wrong, right? You don't want someone in another country having to call, the United States in 9 hours difference in a time zone to correct something because it was lost or didn't arrive, things of that nature. Think about support and service also as far as in country and in region. Where am I calling? Who am I talking to? And then lastly, how configurable is your solution? Meaning, it's really hard, and as the world grows and technology grows, more and more is being asked of the recognition industry to really be a single platform that does everything. And no single platform can do everything. It really can't. But what you can do is understand, does it do what I need? If we have new needs that I'm not aware of today, can it support that? Would you work with us to build around that? And is it going to function how I need it to now and when changes are made? And again, I spoke about those changes. We got a new HRIS system. We have a new payroll provider. We want to, we have a company store, but it's going to a new provider. Like, how flexible is it and how configurable is it? And a big thing I always share is software as a service, which are the top companies in our space are all software as a service, all of us. It's configurable. It's not customizable. Custom is very different than configurable. Okay. Custom takes year plus to develop and costs millions of dollars. Software as a service is highly configurable and gives you 99% of what custom can. And it gives it to you in a few months at very little to no cost. That's the major reason why everyone went to software as a service. So your question when you're talking to a provider and you're doing an RFP is very simply to say, what can it do? And how configurable is it? How can the pieces be moved around so that I can make the most of it and I can get it to do what I need? And the last thing I'll give you that's not on here, but consider it the sprinkles on top of the things to think about, is ask your purchasing, procurement, whatever they may be called in your organization, that you want to take an active part in building the RFP. Because many times we see 300, 400, 600 question boilerplate RFPs that have 90% of the questions don't even apply to our industry. And we see them from the biggest, most robust companies in the world. They just don't change the questions. There should be a very unique RFP posed to our industry. And it should have input from you as HR leaders. It should have input from your technology folks. It should have input from your procurement folks. It shouldn't be a boilerplate that's sent to us. So think about that. These are the 12 biggest gotchas, but there's probably 100. Make sure you're asking the right questions, getting the real nitty-gritty details, trust but verify, get all of the data, and really make the decision that's best for you, but not best for your vendor only. It should be good for everyone. So anyway, I thank you so much all for your time today. This has been absolutely great. If you have any questions, I'm happy to stay on. If you're shy, you can type it into the chat. If you're really shy, you can email me at my email on the bottom of the screen down there. And then last time, there's the link to the paper, as well as I know it will be shared with you by Steve. But Steve, I thank you so much for having me today, and for all of our attendees, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks, Judd. And again, great job. I'm glad you're able to get through all the information there. And thanks everyone for jumping on and being live participant in today's program. Again, an opportunity here if you do want to unmute and ask a question. I see something that just popped in the chat. Just be a thank you. Thank you. You're very welcome,
Thank you.
Daniela. So again, if you have any questions, you want to unmute and ask them real quick of Judd, or if you want to, put into the chat, feel free to do so right now.
I love talking, so you can feel free to chat with me. This is, there's not much I love to do besides this. So, I love reward and recognition. I love helping companies, figure out the right path forward. Also, Steve, if I can add one thing.
Yeah, please do.
Feel free at any time to reach out to me if you're joining this or you're watching this in the future. I promise not to try and sell you anything. I promise just to help. And I promise just to give you the guidance or direction or feedback or thoughts that you're looking for. I don't exist to try to win business at all costs. We want the right fit partners here at Madison. And whether you are or aren't, whether you'll choose us or not, whether you have an RFP coming or not, I'm just happy to help. So feel free to email. I'll give you unbiased and no expectations on you reaching out to us for that support.
Perfect, Judd. And again, certainly I will include your contact information in the follow-up email as well to our participants today. We also do reach out to our other registrants who weren't on today and certainly promote the availability of the recording. So with no questions, I think we'll certainly wrap up now. Again, we will send out a follow-up email hopefully this afternoon that has a link to the recording as well as an evaluation of today's program and also a PDF of the slides here that were presented, as well as a link to the report too. So again, we certainly appreciate Judd, your time. Ariella, thank you for helping set this up as well. And again, we look forward to working with you all on I think we'll also put this on our member content library, this and a link to this. So again, it's in various spots on our website. And again, certainly feel free to reach out to Judd at any time or to me if you have any questions about the association. So thanks everyone. Have a great rest of your day. See you soon.